we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. I'm your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast for any reason, let us know. If you have any ideas, if you want to let us know how you feel, hit us up on our DMs or on our Instagram at Bigmark Podcast or at the Bigmark Pod. If you ever want to donate to the podcast, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button and the bell for the notifications so you know when our next video drops. And if you ever wanted to give us a rating, please, it's always hard to ask, please give us that 5 stars, because I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it really does mean a lot to the podcast and the old algorithmic scenarios. But again, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning back in. It's an interesting episode today. You know, I'll get into kind of a little bit more reasons why, you know, I've been thinking a lot about these years. But I wanted to do a podcast on this team that I played for years ago now. Oh my gosh. But a really interesting, really fun, just super special team that I got a chance to play on for 2 years actually, but at least one that was really special that I played a little bit more. But anyway, let's get into it. So I wanted to talk about the 2008 Hamilton Hurricanes. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Hamilton Hurricanes are somewhat of a sports institution in Hamilton. They were formed in 1963. So basically, you know, anyone who kind of like played football, maybe didn't necessarily go or eventually went to university, or, you know, just played at the kind of high, you know, junior football. It's in the CJFL, which is the Canadian Junior Football League, so it is technically one step below the CFL. There's other like men's leagues and semi-pro leagues and things like that, but the CJFL has, you know, obviously teams across Canada, and the OFC is the Ontario Football Conference within that. And there's a few teams around, and you know, the Burlington Braves being one of them, which a Hamilton Hurricanes sworn enemy. And, you know, all up and down from London Beefeaters. If you guys are fans of the podcast, you know, I played for the London Beefeaters for a year. And I did a podcast about it. We actually won the OFC that year. And made it to the CGFL finals, but not the finals, I should say, but what do you call it? Semifinals, but it was technically like a different bowl here. Actually, you know what? It's feeling a little dark here. Oh, for all my listeners here on YouTube, or watchers, what do you call it? I know the It's Always Sunny podcast calls them creeps, but that's condescending, I find. But look at that, lights! Wow. I forgot to turn the studio lights on, everyone. So hey, they're back on. But let's shine a light on this scenario a little bit more. But again, the Hurricanes have been around forever. A lot of guys who played football in Hamilton played for them. My dad included, and a lot of his friends. And it's an interesting team, and my dad always used to describe it as cops and robbers, and I never really understood what he meant until I finally actually played for the team. And what he's trying to say is it's an interesting mix of guys, because you get, so it's 23 and under, And you get a lot of guys that either didn't go to university or didn't necessarily make their university team, or, you know, maybe just graduated university, or not graduated. I guess you could if you were 23, but, or you're in college or something and you don't have football, but you still want to play, or you played through like rep leagues and like this is like kind of the next step. And you get a lot of guys that are like kind of on the straight and narrow. Some of them, maybe they're doing fucking police foundations in college, but like literal police officers. And then you get like robbers, like some guys that are, you know, they're kind of rough and tumble, and, you know, they're trying to get some anger issues out potentially on the field, or, you know, they just love playing football, or they're in the same boat, but they're working a day job, and if they're older, they've been working a day job. So it was a you know, you had some like pretty mature cats on the team. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, a kind of brief history about the Hamilton Hurricanes, at least a more modern one anyway, is that so obviously formed in 1963. They did have a long illustrious history. I don't know how many like Canadian championships they won, but I know my dad was at least involved in some form of mass scale winning, or at least high level winning. But the team was going strong until one year, which was 1994. They went on a trip. I don't know if it was to Ottawa or Windsor even, or somewhere. It was somewhere far enough away that they had to take a bus. And they're on the bus, team bus. They get to the game. It's the last game of the season. They lose the game. Season's over. About to get on the bus, but the president is nowhere to be found. He's got the money. He's supposed to pay the bus driver. Hasn't paid the bus driver. Bus driver's going, I'm not driving anywhere until you guys pay me. So basically everyone had to pool their money. Still can't find the president. Everyone pools their money, gives it to the bus driver, gets down, they get home. Still no sign of this guy. He's gone. This president is dipset. And essentially the team goes, well, we're going to keep our fucking shit until you pay us back. So now you don't have any equipment, and now you don't have a team, because again, with football, it's pretty expensive, like the overhead, the initial overhead cost. So football's interesting in a way, like unlike other sports. I mean, I guess other sports that require a lot of equipment are like hockey. I'm not sure if other, like lacrosse. I don't know what others, but those sports, you like buy your own equipment and, you know, you do your thing. In football, you basically rent it from the team. The helmets, the shoulder pads, even like the pads on your legs and stuff, the jerseys, obviously, the game pants, all that stuff. The only thing you're really responsible for is technically your cleats. I mean, you're paying into the league, and there's team dues and stuff that helps offset all that stuff. But again, there's a lot of equipment involved, and if all of that is gone, it's hard to just start the team back up again, president or not. And essentially, without all that stuff, the team had to fold. So in 1994, Hamilton Hurricanes were no more. 14 years go by. And in comes Mark Raczynski Jr. now. In 2008, a group of gentlemen decided to get the funds together and get the organization ready to have the Hamilton Hurricanes be a team once more. And they get together, they start having meetings, they're trying to put a team, and like essentially a lot of the guys, so again, it's been 14 years since the team existed. There was a relatively steady pipeline because the next closest CJFL team is the Burlington Braves, which aren't very far away. is that there basically was an established pipeline from the Hamilton rep football system, if you will, directly to the Burlington Braves organization. So it was really popular, and it was really common for Hamilton guys to go play for Burlington, even though that they were sworn rivals back in the day when the Hurricanes existed. But obviously the Hurricanes didn't even exist for 14 years. So, they didn't even have a rival like that, or rivalry, I should say, between them, because Hamilton didn't exist. But anyway, now that they were back, it was like almost like it just became like instantly rekindled. Obviously, there's beef between Hamilton and Burlington that goes back way back, and it's there's an instant rivalry there, which was really cool to be a part of, because it was real. Like, there was no joke. We fucking hated those guys for sure. Even though there were still some Hamilton guys on the team, kind of residual dudes who had been playing with the team for a while. And we got a lot of guys, again, like I said, from the Hamilton rep programs. So like Iron Men is the, I don't even know, because I didn't play, like the AAA version of football. That's kind of like the Iron Men in Hamilton. They had some really, really good players that played through there. It's kind of like your high school, even like late grade school rep team. And again, they started kind of putting the team together and finding other kids, and they actually but they kind of extended the recruitment down to Niagara way, and some really good football players. There's the Niagara Spears organization out that way. Some really good athletes that come out of Niagara region. And yeah, they kind of seem to come from far and wide. And really, the only reason that I kind of joined is my neighbor, where I was living back. So this is in 2008. So I'm in high school. I'm 17. I'm still living at home. And my neighbor was like, hey, how about you come and play? And I'm like, I'm 17. I'm pretty sure, I think the rules have changed recently. So when I was playing Beefs, it was 23 and under, but I think when I was playing Hurricanes, it was 22 and under. But even still, I was 17. So I was like, these guys are like 5 years older. And like, the younger you are, the more significant those years are. Like when you're 17, 5 years makes a really big difference. If you're 22 and I'm 17, like, and obviously, I was, but the size I am now is basically 6'7", probably back then 300, 295, maybe. I don't even know. Maybe I was even heavier. But my neighbor convinced me to come out and play. I came out, did the, and I'd been playing high school football at this point. I played 2 years of junior high school football. And a year of senior, actually. What am I talking about? I'd played 3 years of like high school football at this point. I played senior. It was a fucking hell of a year. My coach was really hard on me, honestly. Like, I think the problem is because of my size, a lot of people kind of assume that I'm going to be really talented, or sorry, they assumed, because, don't get me wrong. I learned a few things. I'm not great, but I'm not terrible. And it's probably still disappointing to some people, like on my men's league teams and stuff. But like, again, I think people just see the size and they just kind of assume that I'm going to be like very effective or like very talented or good or whatever at whatever sport or even whatever fucking task I have to do sometimes. But at the time, I really didn't know how to play football. I kind of just like made my way through junior, and then senior was such a slug because I fucking didn't know what to do. And like any coach should really, really realize, like, yo, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. Like, we need to help him. We need to go out of our way, make special time to help this kid. And like, obviously that's asking a lot of everyone. At the time, my high school, by the time I got to senior, it had been 2 years, but it was 2 years into there was like a major split. They built another high school near mine in Hamilton here, and it really split the population in half. And one of the coaches of the football team kind of went to another school, or I don't even know if he went to BT, to be honest. But again, kind of split up the team. So the head coach of the football team at the time was kind of reeling. I feel like he didn't really know what was going on, or he wasn't necessarily capable of running the whole team. Didn't really have an excellent assistant coaches. Had some really good ones, but some not so good. And I just felt like even back then, I realized I had some potential that was kind of being, not squandered, but it just wasn't being utilized. And anyway, it was really tough. It was getting yelled at, doing this and that, trying to fight for some type of semblance of at least feeling like I belonged, because I didn't know enough about the game. I just felt like I was like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm just kind of like, going through the motions per se, but just like out here reacting, kind of knowing the plays. Defensively, I was a fucking goon because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And anyway, when my neighbor ends up asking me, this is in grade, so I'm 17, I'm in grade 12 now, or actually it's the summer between grade 11 and 12, and I'm like, you know what? This will be fun. I'll play a couple games because the season started before high school. I'm like, all right, I'll play a couple games before the high school season starts, and I have to go back and play for my high school team. Like I'm still playing, like I'm on the team. And they're like, yeah, no worries, for sure, do your thing. And like, honestly, at the end of the day, I know that they were just like desperate for players, because especially when you're like coming up with a team, the good players are already taken. Like I said, they're already playing for Burlington. And it was not, I wouldn't say tough, but again, it's hard to recruit when you have no like immediate history, or you don't have years of working on recruiting, or this and that and this. I digress. So my coach asked me to play. My first game is St. Leonard, which is a suburb of Montreal. We're playing at this place called Stade Hébert. It's their stadium, Stade Hébert. And it was old school stadium, like with the field was legit AstroTurf, like, which is like basically the green side of your sponge. Like it's like a Brillo pad. And I learned the hard way that if you fall on it in a certain way, it like scrapes you bad. And we had like these white jerseys, and I fell forward at one point in the game and scraped all up on my forearms, and then like the front of my white pants were just fucking covered in blood. But hey, what can you do? The first game, the defensive end from St. Leonard, the Cougars, was similar to my position, where he's playing a couple games before the season starts, but he was playing for the University of York. York University. All right, I know you're thinking, anyone who knows what's going on, yeah, it's just York. But fuck, man, I'm 17. This kid's like at least 19 or 20. He's been playing in the CIS at that point, which became U Sport. And I'm going, fuck, I got to go up against this guy. And it was all right. I could have been playing better. Don't get me wrong. And he ended up actually getting injured in the game. I didn't have to block him the whole time, thank God. But I held my own. It was good. And it was like fucking intense. Because obviously I'd played football before. So I thought I kind of knew what was going on. But like just bigger, stronger, faster guys. Everybody getting after it, getting nasty. It was great. And the fans at St. at St. Leonard would fucking heckle you from the stands and everything. Like, it was quite the experience. Let's just put it that way. I remember even back when we were doing training camp. So this is obviously before the first game, after my neighbor Scotty asked me to come out and play. The training camp was at McMaster's new stadium. I don't even know if Mac had played on that field yet. But Ron Joyce Stadium there was just being finished built, and we were on it like after the Ticats used it. And I had a fucking pretty good first day camp. Honestly, I was pancaking kids. I was getting down. I was getting after it. I felt like I had something to prove a little bit. I also felt like I was in just a better environment. It felt like it was more supportive. And one of my teammates, I think he made the team. Can't remember exactly who it was. But one of my teammates, I was playing left tackle. No, I was playing right tackle for this incident, I believe. Right tackle, the right guard stepped right on my fucking toe, my left toe, so bad, man. His cleat went directly in the middle of my toe, and I just felt my toenail just lift up, came completely off the bed. It just felt so bad. I'm probably certain that I also broke my toe at the same time. And I was just hobbled. I could barely walk. Like, honestly, I'm sure I broke, like, as much as the toenail hurt, like, I had to have broken my toe because I literally couldn't do shit. Couldn't even touch it. And I was hobbling around, having to go to fucking urgent care and stuff. And, oh man, hobbling all around there. And it was awesome though. Like, once I got that all healed up and playing on the team, and we had this is like compared to high school at the time. We had trainers, and our home field was Ivor Wynne Stadium where the Ticats played. We had like a pretty cool kind of close affiliation with the Cats, which was always fun, especially for myself growing up in Hamilton. And, when we'd come into the stadium at Ivor Wynne, they'd be playing Rock You Like a Hurricane. Like, it was just such an experience. And, talk about like road trips and just coming back. One of the road trips that we did take to St. Leonard, because we went there twice in the same year. We come back. We were on our way back from the game. We stop over at an IGA, like a grocery store. Everyone gets, so let's say there's 50 people, 50 guys on the bus and coaches. Let's say there's that many. They got 25 pizzas and 25 cases of beer. So basically, and for the 8-hour ride or whatever it was back, everyone had pizza and beer to drink. And my oh my, did that get pretty greasy. But I had awesome teammates. I love all of you. You guys know who you are. A lot of my boys out there, obviously. If I don't mention you now, it's not that I forgot. It's just I'm kind of just mentioning a few here and there just for the podcast sake. Obviously, my boys up front, my crew, and the man we protected, quarterback Brian Eklund. Our offensive line consisted of right tackle Darren Arnold, right guard Chase Fowler Taylor, center John Tenbrenke, left guard Andrew Lobsinger, and left tackle myself. All absolutely phenomenal guys. We had some excellent other teammates too. Aram Aisho, Mike DeCroce. Our defense was fucking solid, man. Greg Chason, my boy. And, being 17 and all these guys being older, 21, 22, obviously looked up to them. And there's a couple guys on the team that they were really, really good friends, and I don't know what it was. I never really asked them, obviously, but they just kind of took me under their wing a little bit, and that was Greg Chason and Chase Fowler Taylor. And man, did we fucking have fun. Like, they were both from the East End, pretty close to my house. Chase was living up on the mountain, but Greg was pretty close to where I grew up. And they both went to Cathedral in the French immersion part, high school here in Hamilton. And they were just really tight guys, man. And going to visit them and hanging out with their buddies, it was fun. And they got after it, and they like to party, and they like to have fun. And being 17, you're going in, and you feel so grown up. You feel like you're partying. Like, we were going out to bars and stuff, and obviously no one was really questioning necessarily my age, but based on my size. But at the same time, obviously I was underage, getting in there, having tons of fun. And Chase, the reason why I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the reason why I was really thinking about this team, and it really pains me and saddens me to say this, but the reason why I was thinking about it is because my buddy Chase sadly passed away recently. I was at his wake, or his funeral, I should say, his funeral service. Chase was a good man. Struggled with some demons, but the time I did get to spend with him, I'm grateful for, and I'm more than grateful than anything to have been his teammate, because he was one of the best teammates ever that anyone could ever ask for. He, you felt like he would put his life on the line to win, in the sweetest way possible. He could light up the room, was a great locker room guy, was a talented player himself. He was very, very intelligent, had a really high football IQ. He had played, he was on the roster for McMaster. He knew his shit, man. And there was, one of our plays was called Sticks. It was a long passing play. And there's one thing that's funny. The way we ran our offense, our head coach was a quarterback as well, but our offense was a really high-paced, high-hitting offense. We probably passed the ball 75 to 80 times compared to, 80% of our offense was mostly passing plays. It wasn't a lot of running, and maybe it was just a sign of our offensive line, and they were like quick hitting passing plays. You'd have to just like bump titties with your defensive end, and you could get the pass off. They were just quick hitter, 2-second drop back, boom, hits, boom, hits. So it was pretty fun to play on that offensive line. And this play we had called Sticks, Chase would just get so excited about it. Sticks, just screaming. Oh man, he would do it like off the field whenever, and everyone just kind of seemed to like catch on to it, and we all loved it. One time we were playing a game, and before the game, Chase goes, "Guys, I had a dream last night. And I had a dream that I had a chisel in my sock, and I stabbed the guy, and I hid the chisel, and everyone was kind of trying to, but this is what he wanted to do. This is how bad he wanted to win, that he was willing to stab people with chisels in his dreams anyway." And again, great guy. He'll be missed. I wish we got to spend more time together. Speaking of other characters on that team, there wasn't only just the the players are one of our a lot of our coaches were wild too, but one of our offensive line coach, Dale Sanderson, who played for the Ticats for 16 years, was a Tennessee Volunteer, and was just an all-around wild man. Great coach, really knowledgeable, really brought a lot of knowledge to the team. But he was great to have as a coach. He was telling us, so one of the times we were on the bus and everyone's like chewing tobacco, and he comes back and he's hanging out and everyone's going, "Hey coach, like come back, have a chew with us," because he always had maybe it was a habit he picked up in Tennessee, but he always had this tobacco in his lip. And go, "Hey coach, like have some chew with us," blah blah blah. He takes some, takes out the thing, packs it in his lip. He goes, "What is this? Citrus Skull," which is like a flavored tobacco. And he goes, "Oh, this is candy." Swallows the whole thing, which is disgusting, A. And B, I don't know how he didn't just start puking everywhere, because one little leaf trickles down, you're yakking for an hour and a half. Swallows it, takes out his own dip, throws it right in. The guy was a maniac. But one of my favorite stories I've ever heard is one of the stories he told, and when he was at Tennessee, he played with Reggie White, who was a famous defensive lineman in the NFL. He played for Green Bay for years. Just a machine, but beautiful guy. He was kind of like a preacher man. He was like he loved the Bible, loved God, was just like, good all around Christian man. And there was one night that, when Dale and him were playing together in Tennessee, they were away at a game and everyone's sleeping in the hotel. All of a sudden, Reggie wakes up Dale in the middle of the night. He comes into his room and he goes, "Dale, wake up, I have something to tell you." And Dale's going, "Man, we got a game tomorrow, bro. Like, what is it, Reggie?" And he's like, "I got to talk to you." And you kind of don't really say no to Reggie. So Reggie comes in. And he goes, "Dale, the Lord came to me like in a dream like tonight. And he said, I have to preach his name to men of all nations. And you're the only Canadian on the team. So I thought I'd start with you." So it's amazing. Again, this is what you're surrounded with. And I was having all this fun. And we did pretty well as a team, honestly. Like for a team coming back from a 14-year hiatus, we lost our first 4 games, but then we won our next 4 games, and we actually made it to the playoffs, and it was such a close game. We almost made it. We almost won at the end. Just too many turnovers. And, I played for the team in 2008. I'm focusing on 2008. It was tons of fun. I did play for another year, and it was very sour. It didn't turn out as well as I thought. I was dealing with a lot of things. And I think it was translating, and I was probably not playing very well. I was already ready to go to Western at the time. I'd committed, so maybe I was tentative. But it just left a really poor taste in my mouth as much as I loved the team. And then I got to play Beefs, and we got to beat them, and it was a true victory. But I'll always be a Hurricane. I loved playing for the team. It was a pleasure in my life to play with all those guys. I'll never forget any one of you. If any one of you are listening, please reach out. Let's hang out. Let's go have a beer. Let's go to Hooters. That was where our 5th quarter was, everybody. We were sponsored by Hooters, okay? It's not just macho greasiness, but yes, it is. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Wherever you are, please give us a thumbs up. Rate the podcast. Let someone know. Share it with your friends and family. If you ever wanted to reach out, at the Bigmark Pod, at the Bigmark Podcast. If you ever wanted to donate to the podcast, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. And please hit that bell, like the channel, subscribe to our channel. If you're watching on YouTube, wherever you're watching, follow the podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. We'll see you soon. Go Canes. Peace. Peace.